There you go. All right, guys, welcome back to the Play On podcast with Jesse and Jerry. This is episode 63. Thank you guys for the support for the last episode. Make sure to like and subscribe to keep us going. And again, check out the TikTok we also uploaded on our page on TikTok. It's called the Play On Podcast. We're in the middle of rebranding it. We're getting a logo soon. Um, yeah, just a bunch of things happening.
Yeah, we're subtly leveling up. Like we said, it's not like we're royals from Saudi that can just invest billions of dollars into the squad. We're slowly building up.
Yeah. Or like PSG over like almost 2 billion spent and they finally got the championship. We're getting there. But yeah, we've been recording with the Zoom meetings. They're a little bit more convenient for us, especially since I just moved away from like where Jesse is. Uh so it helps us. But maybe we'll get some lighting. Who knows? Just let us know what we need.
Yeah, let us know for anything you guys think could improve the podcast because obviously you guys are the ones that are watching it and supporting it. So, well, of course, we're here to listen.
Better takes from Jesse. I think that's what's probably needed. Because super biased. We were doing that the pick'ems for a bit. Kind of I like them, but I think at one point where like it was a majority of the whole podcast.
Yeah, we just towards the end of it, we were just like, it was the only thing that was like the focus.
Hmm.
And I think it kind of took away from what we were doing in the beginning, where we were sometimes analyzing the games. We were just
Hmm.
basically like, oh, this is our picks, and we're gonna be biased in them because,
Yeah, Jesse.
hey, listen, we would both be biased, and it just turns out that this year was your year. So,
Yeah, that hey, watch it and pan out. But yeah, we're gonna be pumping out more content when it comes to TikTok. I think if it's like just me on camera or Jesse doing a TikTok dance, they're definitely gonna come up with more things. But yeah, make sure to show support as you guys always do. But yeah, to get things started, I was right, Jesse. PSG just steamrolled Inter Milan in the most boring, I want to say boring final, but definitely one-sided final of all time.
yeah, see, I agreed. I thought PSG were favorites. I just felt like I had a nagging feeling that maybe Inter would come in and show up, but that
Hmm.
feeling was completely off the mark because there really one team only showed up to that final.
Yeah, easily. And I'm just sad because we got robbed from like pretty much one of the best finals potentially versus Barca and PSG, super attacking teams. But hey man, that's what Barcelona gets for conceding 7 goals against this Inter Milan side.
Yeah, and it's really surprising because this Inter team coming up into like this season has been now renowned for their defense. Even like in the beginning of like the Champions League, they're like one of the best defensive teams like numbers wise because they had conceded like the least amount up until like I want to say the quarterfinals where like they just started leaking in goals and it was happening throughout the Champions League and even in La Serie A because that's kind of the reason why they lost both.
Yeah, I think it's just tired legs. Again, one of the most, we said it all season. It's a super old squad. Yeah, Mkhitaryan, Çalhanoğlu, Barella probably be the youngest one in that midfield trio. The other two players, not named Barella, are gonna get exhausted. Um, yeah, it just proved to be a super long season. They couldn't do much. Then even the Marco dropped one of the worst performances of all time, where he was just constantly getting cooked. But again, I think it's more credit to how PSG played than Di Marco getting cooked.
Yeah, and I think it shows that maybe Inter is in need for a lot of reinforcements because they demand in their system, they demand a lot from the midfielders to run up and down to be able to cover the space. And with these aging players and long season, it showed that there wasn't maybe enough rotation or like replacement level because we saw DeMarco and the others like usually get subbed out second half early on, but the players that were coming on sometimes weren't at the same level or it just wasn't the same.
Yeah, it was two completely different benches. On PSG, you're subbing in Barcola, one of the players we're hyping up and had a great first half of the season. And then Inter is subbing on who? What?
Zaleski.
Zaleski. It's like two different spectrums, and yeah, it just ended up biting them. And like the investments, like their squad wasn't deep enough. Again, You need those bench players to eventually come in and like revolutionize something. Because Barca had it, Real Madrid had it, a bunch of other teams had it. It just Inter didn't have it.
Yeah, and I think that's the current state of Inter as a club. They're a former giant, as in like Serie A. It used to be like the peak of football where all the best players go there. That's not the case anymore. They
Mm.
usually like go in, find a bargain buy, and try to develop them, or take like outcasts from former teams and try reclamation projects. Like all the best players usually leave in a year or two because they get bought out, and it might happen again with this Inter squad with Lautaro Martinez being poached away because I don't know if Inter can carry on this run of like making Champions League finals or going deep in tournaments.
Yeah, like you said, they make the best out of the players they have. I think this is the peak of their career. They went trophyless this season, and it doesn't look like they could make another run next season with the same squad. Again, they have to reinforce a lot of the things. Bastoni, best defender they have. Acerbi, way too old. He's got to go, and you got to find a replacement for him. Then Bisek, I think, is the other center back who sadly came off injured because of hyperextension.
I
There's
think
question marks.
well, Pavard started and then Bisa came in for him.
Yeah, and then he got subbed out again because
Yeah.
of his hyperextension. But yeah, there's just so many. There's holes to fill for that Inter Milan squad. Because yeah, I was telling everyone PSG were going to win comfortably, and it was bound to happen. If Inter would have scored early, I don't know, probably a different story. But still, PSG was just on a different level.
Yeah, and it's a shame really because we can really see what we highlight from Inter is that those front two, which is a rarity and nowadays in football that they just play so well with each other. They never had the chance to be able to like play with each other because the midfield was just overrun. Like we said, PSG has the best midfield in the world, and especially with this Inter side, especially because this PSG midfield is young, very young, and they were just playing around with like the old heads, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's crazy too because I think this is the first match this season for Lautaro Martinez to have no shots at all or even on target. It's unheard of. He gets so many shots off in every game, and then there's games where they're comfortable, like playing against Como, playing off the ball, not
Mhm.
really having it. But PSG right off the rip, they gave the ball up so they could press them instantly.
Yeah, yeah, they set the tone. It's like one of the tactics that they've been doing more often than not, especially in League One, because they're very good at counter pressing or
Hmm.
like to set it up so they have them deep in their own half, and then just basically they believe enough in their players to steal the ball and then do a quick counter and just get a goal.
Yeah, especially how Dembele was playing. I think Luis Enrique highlighted it that no other player in the world is pressing like him. That he was just constantly making Acerbi and Summer play quickly and not be comfortable at all on the ball.
Well, it's
And
like, oh
go
my
ahead,
bad,
go ahead,
but
go ahead, go ahead.
no, it's like what we highlighted from last year that he couldn't do it these type of tactics last year because he didn't have the uh the players. Well, he had the players, but like the attitude wasn't there because Mbappe was there and
Hmm.
he wouldn't do this role for them. So basically, the other players weren't willing to buy into the system. And now that he left, he now has the players to be like, you know what, you got to change your attitude and follow the system. And it was basically 11 players following that and pressing whenever they could because it wasn't just Dembele, it was also Kvaratskhelia, Doué, the entire midfield. Even the defenders would sometimes be up there pressing.
Yeah, and that viral clip of Luis Enrique talking to to Mbappe about like Michael Jordan now he has to defend like him. It came up again. It's resurfacing, and it's pretty much being played next to the Dembele quote. Yeah, Luis Enrique got the player he wanted. He said it too last season that they play and defend better without Mbappe. So Real Madrid has a star in their hands with Mbappe. But yeah, it sucks for Mbappe. He leaves a team. They win the Champions League because he left that team so they could win Champions Leagues. Football's just poetry.
Yeah, but I think it worked out for everyone, but it's also I think it shows how crazy a difference a year can make. Because coming into around the same time last year, we were saying that this was potentially Bradley Barcola's team.
Hmm.
And also William Zaire Emery was like one of the hottest team prospects in world football, and everyone expected both players to break out massively this year. And they've both been relegated to the bench from summer signings that people underrated. Joao Neves came in and set the world ablaze and basically took over that midfield and said, "Nope, this is my spot. I'm not handing it up, and you could watch me from the bench."
Yeah.
And Desiree Doué is like, "Yeah, it's not you, Bradley Barcola. I'm gonna be the best French player in the world."
Yeah, it's crazy. The rise is insane. Because yeah, again, we're praising the fuck out of Barcola when he first started the season, but everything just changed. We're like, why is he getting benched for this guy? Does it really do it? But we see why. Because he presses and he's just great on the ball. Like he takes people on. He's not just relying on his own speed. It's just so many th factors, and I think he just meshes well so much with Dembele because they forced Dembele into the false nine role.
Yeah, and also I think it's also Desiree Doué's versatility because Bradley Barcola shows more on the left wing. Desiree Doué literally in between games, he will rotate in between both left wing and right wing just wherever is needed.
Hmm.
And that versatility allowed or has shown Luis Enrique like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna give him that chance and he's not gonna drop or let it go.
Yeah, and then the Vitinha thing Vitinha, the Neves thing, like he sat down one of the most promising players in Europe
Hmm.
and took over that role like nothing. Same thing with Fabian Ruiz. He's just building off of that what is it, Euro
Yep.
uh like run. He's just in a high level. So I'm glad Luis Enrique is just one of the best coaches there is. This is his second treble that he's won. And it just keeps showing that he has a fantastic mind when it comes to football. And hopefully he comes back to Barcelona after Flick leaves. But yeah, he's just incredible. Like his tactics, because there's also that video of like that's going around or a documentary about how he would press Barcelona and his focus was Araujo. I don't doubt that he had an insane tactic for Inter, which was again giving out the ball and having them belly press the center back and the goalkeeper.
Well, yeah, I think it's coaching has been evolving recently where before we would just think of like coaching as like the head coach and that would be it. But now it's advanced so much where there's an analytics department coming in now, which some of us, like me, might not really want that too much because I think it limits the beauty of football because they want certain spots and certain shots from certain percentages because it's better, but it does improve. But there's also like coaching staffs are advancing so much because I saw recently there was a comparison between Real Madrid's current coaching staff and I think PSG's or like Arsenal's. I can't remember which one, but like we have like the bare minimum, and they had like I think it was like 8 people in the stands with like laptops watching everything, comparing like things like stats and like numbers, and we only had like 1 or 2 people there, and like it's rapidly changing what coaching is in football.
Yeah, definitely. It's becoming more like baseball or American football. It's just a lot of little details that you wouldn't think matter, but they do. But yeah, it could be overabundance and too much information. You could overload a player and just confuse them even more. But yeah, PSG, what is it, 5-0?
5-0. I think the what was it, the largest final in like forever or maybe ever?
Oh my God. I think it beats Barcelona. Barcelona had I think in 92 or 94 when they faced oh God, I can't even think of who they faced, but they lost the final. AC Milan. They lost the final 4-0. So glad we're off that podium. But yeah, these are the finals I want to see. I want to see something a little bit more close. Unless it's like my team playing. But
Yeah, well, we were at the neutral point of view, so like it didn't affect us as much.
mhm.
But like whenever it's our teams, like I'd rather have that than not.
Dude,
I'm
they could have scored a lot more goals because Barcola missed like two chances. Can't think of anyone else, but I think the Barcolas, the two of them that stand out that when he sat down one of the defenders when he did the ball roll, but he shot near
yeah.
post and even that this game I think was the goalkeeper conceded like four goals from near post. So they knew something.
Well, the first near post was the Desiree Due shot, the volley, but that
Oh yeah,
also
yeah.
ricocheted.
Hmm.
So there's some.
But the other three, yeah.
The other three was Gravaskelia one where, but that was like left foot curler in. So I wouldn't blame him too much because he had to come out because it was basically a 1v1. The other one was the other youth prospect that came in for the fifth one,
Hmm.
Mandula. That one I could see it. And then what was the other one? Who scored? Who's the fourth goal?
Uh, so it's Hakimi, Due,
And then do it again.
hmm then oh my God,
Then
what am
Kvaratskhelia
I
and
would say? Then
then Mandula.
the Vandula.
I can't remember the second do it goal.
Yeah, it was a near post one when he had the, I guess, one-on-one. When they did that whole, I think, transition with Vitinha. It was like a beautiful play. Vitinha pretty much crossed the whole field, gave it to Dembele. Vitinha kept running, and he did
Oh yeah,
the ball roll to the like back heel, I guess. Wasn't a back heel. That was a ball roll backwards.
yeah.
And that goal was just incredible. So yeah, they studied like crazy to win this final, and they deserved it. We called it too. This was our, well,
Our favorite.
yeah, our favorite, to be honest. Uh, But it only cost $2 billion.
Yeah, but that squad shows it. There's differences because
Mhm.
Man U, Chelsea, all these Premier League clubs, they've spent around the same, but their squad does not show it like this squad does.
Oh yeah, this squad pretty much is they destroyed every well, not every, but a lot of the Premier League teams.
Yeah, but this squad's also like it's destroying, but it's also still so very young.
Yeah,
Because
and that's
you
the
go
scary part about it, bro.
you go around what Donnarumma's like 26, Hakimi's 25, Nuno Mendes 22, Bacho I think is also like
He's young.
21.
Yeah.
Marquinhos is probably the oldest one, and he's what
Hmm.
28 as well, I want to say.
Hmm.
And then the midfield is also young. The
Yeah,
oldest one, I think, Fabian Ruiz. And then that front line, the oldest is Dembele, and he's what 27.
26, 25, yeah, something like that around that age group. So like, Luis Enrique said, this squad is prepared to win more than one Champions League. So who's going to dethrone them? We don't know. Again, they had a rough start for the Champions League. They almost didn't qualify for even the playoffs. So it's just improvements. And Luis Enrique figured it out, and he found what squad clicked and made it happen. He wasn't afraid to bench Barcola or Zaire Emery. And you
Yeah,
got to see what happens with those guys in the summer because if you're them, you're not happy that you're on the bench.
yeah, but it's harder to say. But the thing is, with PSG, they could realistically sell him, and so I. The thing is, they have the eye in the transfer market to get players, even though, uh, obviously they pay big money, but they obviously pick the right players because, um, they've like Desiree Due didn't get the fanfare as other signings this summer, and he's proven to be honestly like the signing of the summer.
Hmm.
Or Joao Neves might even take that. Like those two players, sure they're like expensive. Like I think Due was 50, Neves was what 60, 70.
Yeah.
They've they've proven to be worth it straight away.
So that Portuguese league has a lot of talent. Well, Vitinha, he came from there, but went Premier League. But still,
No,
Portuguese.
no, Vitinha went straight to yeah. I think you're thinking of the Arsenal one.
No, Vitinha, he played in Wolves.
Did he?
He played in Wolves for like a season. Don't you remember like Wolves had this pretty much almost all Portuguese squad? So he played there for
Yeah.
like a season and then he got bought out. Then they also have the likes of Nuno Mendes. They have Gonzalo Ramos in the bench. So
Oh yeah, he did.
they're not like buying a lot of overhyped Premier League players. I think Premier League player they do have is Vitinha, but I can't think of anyone else that played in the Premier League in that squad.
Well, they understand that you go to Premier League, your career goes to die.
True. So yeah, they're just looking for technically gifted players, and they got them. And yeah, you just want to see what happens with the rest of in the coming years with that squad.
And plus, their academy has proven to they're in the hotbed of France, which is currently producing talent like
Hmm.
no other period in time right now, where there's just constant players coming out. Like even their academy, like Mayulu, who came on, he's from the academy. Zaire Emery's from the academy. Like they're producing players, and they're just if they're not keeping them, they're selling them for profit. Like I think Kolo Muani also came from it. Uh, Matthias Tell might have, or no, I think he came from a different academy. But like, there's a lot of talent in France right now, so they could realistically just get some kids from their academy.
But knowing them, they still have a lot of buying power. And they
Yeah.
have, yeah, the buying power, the salary power, they could do anything. They could offer you a piece of Monaco. But yeah, what do you give the final, Jesse? Out of if you had to rate it?
Out of enjoyment, just because it wasn't sure there was goals and there was like moments, but it wasn't as back and forth and exciting. I'd probably give it like a six.
Yeah, I give it a seven. Like, sure, there was 5 goals, but it was completely one-sided. Again, not what you want to see unless it's your favorite team. Um, you do wish for a lot more to happen. At least get a consolation goal or something, or make it cl as close as possible. But yeah, not the best final. Um, but if anything, it just speaks how fantastic PSG was this season. You know,
Yeah.
who knows what would have happened if they faced like another team, like even who's like well, they did face Liverpool. But yeah, I don't know. What else can you ask for like this team? Like
Well, who knows?
who would you have preferred for them to play?
Well, we're gonna see even more of them because Club World Cup, and we got to see them again against who is it? Chelsea and all these other teams, and see how they fare up.
Yeah. So maybe they could continue the great run of form, but we'll see. They're clearly in a fantastic spot, dude. And yeah, I don't think they have any injuries from that final. So, well, Nuno Mendes had like a flight and wait, what would you say? Probably a knock in his back, but
Yeah.
he'll recover.
They have 2 weeks, so I think he should be able to be fine.
But yeah. A lot to cover. But speaking of Club World Cup, there was a pretty much a playoff spot up for grabs. What was it? LAFC versus Club America. It was the previous runner up,
Uh,
versus like the number one ranked team in North America.
it was well, it came about because which one was it? Club Leon?
Leon, they have dual ownership on like a couple of the teams. I forgot what other team.
It was Pachuca.
hmm So they had some stake in that. FIFA's like, well, you can't have that.
Hmm.
You relinquish your spot because of that conflict of interest and everything. Leon tried to appeal it and everything didn't work out. So then they had this great idea of throwing a playoff. And yeah, it was great. They played in LA and Club America lost.
Yeah, and it comes with big monetary loss for America and gain from LAFC because I believe just winning this match you automatically get like 10 million,
Mhm.
and then playing in the Club World Cup I think you get like 20 million or so. So that's a lot of money to lose out on.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it sucks to see. Because, dude, they just lost the final last week against Toluca. You come into
Hmm.
this like, oh, we gotta win this, and they were up 1-0, scored off a penalty, by Brian Rodriguez, and everything's so far so good. But LAFC started putting a lot of pressure. America threw everyone back, and yeah, it eventually got scored on by another corner and pushed the game to extra times.
Where they conceded again and eventually lost because there was basically nothing going forward that by that point.
Yeah, they went super defensive. I'm never a fan of that. There's still a lot to play. You got to keep attacking. Buagna, that guy's an insanable play. That guy's fucking incredible, dude. I don't know how he's still in LA. I think he's been linked to other teams, but that guy was just destroying the whole team.
Yeah, it was a tough to watch from the America standpoint because it just highlighted against the deficiencies that we saw throughout the season. And sure, they're coming off of 3 straight titles, but it looks like it's time for the squad to get rejuvenated and rebuilt.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of the striking partnership. Like, sure, the Henry Martin is Henry Martin, but I think he's on a decline. And Buffalo. Again, he hasn't been producing too many things. Um, they need a top level goal scorer like some guy from like Toluca, like Paulinho, that guy was a beast. Yeah, we just didn't provide too much. We weren't effective in the front line and maybe a little bit in creativity. Yeah, it just lacked a lot. It's not the same squad as the previous tournament, I'll tell you that. Like it technically is, but like it's, you know, like you
There
just
was
said,
a
it has to be rejuvenated.
Yeah, it was a major difference because especially I think that midfield is where, like you said, creativity has differed a lot because before, uh, what is it? Jonathan Dos Santos, I think, is on the decline. Cervantes is not it from my point of view. And before, why is his name? Arten?
Diego Valdez.
Diego Valdez, there you go. I was about to say Bruno for some reason. Diego Valdez, he has been basically frozen out of the squad, so his creativity and his like flair has been lacking, but also his level hasn't been showing it because his like attitude has not been there this season.
Yeah, but you know, and there's also an issue because MLS is like they could attract the high level players they are from Europe. Like they have Giroud, Wagner, who's a fantastic player. He's also not from the United States and a foreign player. And they also have Lloris on goal. Like that's incredible to have all that firepower. And even then, they're like playing fantastic. So it's not like it was gonna be an easy game. A lot of the Mexican commentators try to make it like that, like it was gonna be an easy just steamroll.
Yeah, I think it's just showing that the US has been catching up and is overtaking Mexico in a large part because a recent top 30 like value for clubs has come out and a lot of MLS clubs have joined. I think it's like up to 6 or 7 now
Hmm.
in that top 30. And it shows that, the MLS is starting to rise in level and attract higher, players like Messi, Busquets, and all these players have joined the MLS. Meanwhile, Mexico, it's been falling off the level.
Yeah, and say like yeah, those players are old or whatever, but it still like passes knowledge along to the other players because again, what is it? Iron sharpens iron. It's just gonna make you a even better player. Sure, you might not see it right away, but it makes you start thinking the game a little bit differently. Especially with like the likes of Busquets and Messi, they're like, "Oh, run into this space because of this." I'm pretty sure they explain it somewhat, but yeah, it's incredible. Liga MX is falling apart, and it also shows lack of what would you say? The lack in need of the regulation because MLS doesn't have it, and I think if Mexico brings it back, they could raise the level even more just because of that.
Well, because in Mexico, there's like no urgency in anything,
Mm-mm.
especially the teams at the bottom. They see no need to invest or go for players or like have them actually. They're just collecting their paycheck and just moving on with it. Meanwhile, and I'm less sure there's no relegation, but you're at risk of falling back and potentially there's like relocations that's happened in like other American leagues. The city potentially could lose, uh, their teams. So there's not as much urgency, but they're still all trying to compete because, that's how American sports is. No town or city wants to see their team constantly losing.
Yeah, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, congratulations to LAFC. They're in the group with Chelsea. Forgot what other Brazilian team, and I forgot the other team. But it's
Uh,
gonna be an interesting tournament for sure.
Let me
And
check.
this is a huge W for MLS, you know,
Yes, let me check.
because again, like I said, they're just gonna get better. Even though they don't win it, it's just gonna make them a better team.
Yeah, it's Chelsea, Esperance, and Flamengo.
Yep, yep. And quick question, Jesse.
Hmm.
There's a lot of talk. Champions League is over, all the seasons are over. Club World Cup is pending, and Nations League, if you want to count that. Who's your favorite for Balón de Oro? Because apparently they're gonna do it earlier this year.
I feel like this year's probably another wide open session. I think probably the favorite right now from most people's list would probably be Ousmane Dembele, and I think that's a fair shout. But like we've said or seen before, there's potential with other teams or like with his own team competing with them. Because I know uh People might give some to Vitinha, rightfully so. And I think it's a similar situation with Barcelona because Rafinha was getting a case throughout the year, but he tailed off towards the end of it. And then Lamine Yamal has been getting a lot of credit. I think those two might also share votes or like split votes. And then obviously Salah, just because he's in the Premier League and they won, he's gonna get some votes just because, Premier League bias.
Yeah. So who do you got as your favorite? If you had to pick one right now.
I think Dembele, because the second half surge from PSG proved to be unstoppable. And obviously in the final, he didn't get man of the match, but he was instrumental. I think he got two or three assists.
Hmm.
So it wasn't like he was ineffective. He just, was still giving the, passes to his teammates to finish it up. But yeah, I would give it to him because he played for PSG, who got their first title, and he was extraordinary towards the end of the season.
Yeah, I'm right with you. I'm with the Dembele. I think Lamine Yamal, he's getting a lot of like traction on becoming the Ballon d'Or. A lot of current players and former players and coaches are saying that he should win it. I don't know. The thing that Dembele did, especially with the Champions League final and what he gets to do in the Club World Cup, is gonna play a huge weight towards that. Again, 2025, you said it. He started going on a crazy rampage of scoring a bunch of goals and even providing assists, like just being a all-around great teammate. I think he's gonna win it. And who saw this coming, dude? That Dembele's gonna win a Ballon d'Or before Mbappe did, and Mbappe is supposedly, you know, he was supposed to win multiple, but um, it's insane. It's insane how Dembele turned his career around from being an outcast at Barcelona, getting booed, to being the front runner for the Ballon d'Or and even the leader of PSG.
Well, he always had the talent. The talent was always there. He just needed to harness it, and that sometimes it didn't help that when he got to Barcelona, the situation wasn't the best because he was there throughout the most tumultuous period of Barcelona of recent times because they're going through financial struggle, a changing of the guard. He was straight into the position of he's going to be the next star and carry the whole weight of Barcelona anew. And then also he was also being pressured that I think during the time Ansu Fati was coming up and he was having a great form, and people were saying, "Why can't you be like the kid?" And his attitude honestly wasn't all that great as well during certain periods of time, and he was dealing with a lot of injuries. Some might have been his own cause because not taking care well of his body, and other because sometimes he was just unlucky.
Yeah, and you gotta also put it like this whole contract negotiations thing. Like he was getting booed because he was like I wouldn't say stalling, but they were negotiating. And he was getting booed by the fans. And there was times where he would be subbed in and constant boos, get subbed out, constant boos. That was in the last year of his contract.
Hmm.
And they didn't know whether he was gonna sign or not. But like at one point Xavi couldn't play him because of the boos. But then he had to and forced his hand because he's my best player, so I gotta play him. And he pretty much turned those boos into applauses. And then people are saying that he was a snake because he didn't resign. But then again, you're getting booed by your own crowd. Like it's gonna play a factor. Like imagine getting booed and be like, "Oh no, come back." Like never mind, you're good. So I do. I don't get some of the Barca fans when they do give him shit for that. Like, it makes no sense, dude. You're booing him. Like I'm not gonna come back.
Yeah, and I also think it's crazy that you're booing a player for negotiating on his contract. Like,
Yeah.
who are you to tell your player to take less money than he's worth or get as much money from his as possible in his current situation? Like, you never know in sports when like you could get a massive injury and you can't play anymore or things like that. Like, you should you I don't understand that. I don't get it.
And don't you remember, like at the beginning of the season, everyone kept saying thank you Dembele for leaving because now we got Lamine Yamal. Well, we could have had Lamine Yamal and Dembele.
Yeah, and honestly, Dembele fits the system so much better currently than like Lewandowski. Like if Dembele would be in that or like forward position, like in the central forward,
Hmm.
how crazy would it be? Because he would be dishing out assists and those shots and just creating a mess. Because at certain periods, Barcelona put in Ferran Torres to provide a more like speedier, better option compared to Lewandowski, who would slow the pace down of the game. Imagine having like a 10-time upgrades with Dembele.
Yeah, it's just insane the possibilities. Like, I am jealous that he left. I am jealous that he won the Champions League, especially with PSG. But yeah, I would never knock the player. Again, he was one of my favorite players at one point. So crazy. But yeah, I think he's gonna win the Ballon d'Oro. He has the strongest case for it. Again, we'll see what he does with the Club World Cup to probably even cement that further. And yeah, it sucks Lamine can't play it because he's not in the Club World Cup. Here are some of the latest transfer rumors and transfers that already happened. Biggest rumor is uh God damn, bro. Not even biggest rumor. I'm like, which one am I thinking? But the biggest news was Gasperini has joined Roma after leaving Atalanta, and there's interest in Maurizio Sarri coming back to Lazio. Um, what are the other ones?
And also it's looking like he's gonna get the sacking from Spurs, so I wonder who they will get to replace him.
I have news on that. They actually have the Brentford manager, Thomas Frank, to replace him, and they also have Marco Silva on that list. Interesting, interesting. You know, they should have just gave Poch more time.
Yeah.
In other news, as far as transfers, Everton are considering approaching Man City in order to get John Stones.
Mm.
And what's the next one?
We have Louis CS saying his goodbyes to Liverpool fans, so it's looking like he is looking or is gonna leave this summer.
Yeah, his links are Barcelona and the Saudi League. Speaking of Saudi League, there's bigger interest again, and looks like Man U are preparing their replacement for Bruno Fernandes as Bruno Fernandes is edging closer to the Saudi League.
Then we also have Jan Koto being sold from Man City for 25 mil to Dortmund, which is surprising considering they still have a need at right back.
That is true. Mateus Cunha has signed a 5-year deal at Old Trafford with a 1-year option to extend further. The official announcement is coming soon. Very interesting buy. Again, that's gonna solve your issues.
And then Mastantuono from River Plate. He's a young Argentine prospect, 17 years old. We've talked about him before, linked to previously to Real Madrid, but it's looking like PSG are going to swoop in, pay his release clause, and just get another young talent to
To
into that team.
bolster the whole team. Oh my God, bro. That's literally the worst. Rodrigo has told Real Madrid that he wants to stay at the club despite the interest from various Premier League clubs. We'll see how that develops further. Real Madrid looking to have a busier summer, and they're still looking to buy other players. Like, what's his name? The German guy from Stuttgart.
Stiller,
Stiller.
Angelo Stiller. Yeah, we're linked to Angelo Stiller. We've also been linked to a couple other midfielders, but he's looking like he's going to be top of the list.
Inter Milan boss Simone Inzaghi, oh my God, Inzaghi, after losing the Champions League final, looks to be either going to Tottenham, Newcastle, or potentially even the Saudi League. Inter Milan looking to change up the whole squad and probably even their whole system.
Yeah, and then also leaving and going to home is Jorginho. He has gone back to Flamengo on a free, so another midfield loss for Arsenal, but they'll probably replace him with another CDM.
And it's pretty much almost official. Kevin De Bruyne is set to join Napoli. They convinced them and not to join MLS and to join Napoli as they could compete with titles. So it's gonna be that midfield duo of Scott McTominay with Kevin De Bruyne and even oh my God, what's his name? The CDM, the African CDM. I forgot his name. But
I can't
yeah,
remember.
Napoli looking to compete for next season as well. As like yeah, it's gonna be crazy because it'll be Lukaku and De Bruyne in that team again, that Belgian squad.
Yeah, and then it's also because of Rodrigo saying they're saying that there's le reports leading to Andre Lunin potentially leaving this summer to looking for first team opportunities to become a starting goalkeeper. And with that, Real Madrid's going to go out and looking for a replacement.
Yeah, and Man City's looking to get another goalkeeper as well. Um, so looks like Ederson might leave. Gianluigi Donnarumma is supposedly the rumored name to go to Man City, but it's gonna be hard to poach him away from the PSG project at the moment.
Yeah, there's a couple other goalkeeping prospects that are heavily linked. Luke Chevalier from Lille, he's a big name coming up around QB need or QB goalkeeper needy teams. Also, Joao Garcia, but he is looking to sign for Barcelona. So if someone swoops in, it's going to be tough. And there was another one I can't remember.
I can't remember
Uh,
anyone.
Jack Trafford, English from I can't remember which Premier League team, but he is also, most likely going to stay in the Premier League because he is English. So a lot of teams are looking at him.
But yeah, that's pretty much rounds up all the transfer news. I don't know if you have anything else, Jesse.
No, no other sports really hitting it right now the same.
Yeah, soccer game was a huge, again, not the best final, but it was a final nonetheless. Um, but yeah, it's exciting things to come. It's gonna be like a little bit slow for the next 2 weeks, but we'll come up with topics to talk about, and just before the Club World Cup, because that's gonna be take up a lot of our time.
Yep. Hopefully, this Club World Cup is Real Madrid's rejuvenation with Xabi Alonso bringing in his coaching, his new tactics, his new signings. They are looking. I like the signing so far, except for one, but we'll see. Hopefully, there's more to come.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, share this with a friend. Peace.
Peace.